Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling confused about what just happened? Feeling smaller than when it started? Feeling like you agreed to something you never actually chose? That confusion was not an accident. It was a result. Friedrich Nietzsche spent his life studying the exact people who produced that result. He called them the most dangerous force in any social environment. Not because they are powerful, because they are invisible. Until you know exactly what to look for. 6 behaviors. Stay until behavior 6. Because that one is already operating in your life right now, and you have not given it a name yet. Here is behavior 1, and once you see it, you will never unsee it. You set a limit. You say no. You choose yourself for once, and immediately, somehow, you become the problem. You are selfish. You are cold. You have hurt them. Think about it. The person who cannot control you directly manufactures guilt instead. They make your boundary feel like a crime, and most people, rather than sit with that guilt, just undo the boundary. That is the whole move. It is brutal, but it is human. The moment someone makes you feel guilty for protecting yourself, that is not emotion. That is strategy. Drop a comment right now if someone has ever made you feel guilty for simply saying no. I want to see how many people recognize this immediately, because I think almost everyone has been here. Behavior 2 is the one that messes with your head the most. You remember the conversation clearly. You remember what was said. You remember how it made you feel. And then they tell you, calmly, confidently, without blinking, that is not what happened. Here is the crazy part. They do it without flinching. Nietzsche understood that reality, for most people, is simply whatever version gets delivered with the most confidence. The person who rewrites shared memories without hesitation gains something extraordinarily powerful. They gain control of your version of events. And the person who controls your version of events controls your trust in your own mind. That is not a side effect of their behavior. That is the entire point. And behavior 3 is the one hiding in plain sight. In public, warm, generous, charming. With you alone, cold, demanding, critical. Most people call this moody. Nietzsche would call it something else entirely. He said the person who performs warmth for an audience while behaving completely differently in private is not inconsistent. They are strategic. The warmth is the product they sell to protect the reputation they need. And this is where most people get it wrong. They keep trying to find the public version in the private relationship. But that version was never real. It was always the performance. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this right now. Because some people are still searching for a version of someone that simply does not exist. Behavior 4 is the one that drains you over time without you realizing it. Think about the actual exchange in this relationship. Who reaches out first? Who follows up? Who shows up? And then ask yourself, what happens the one time you actually need something? Here is the crazy part. The person who takes consistently while giving nothing is not absent-minded. They have simply figured out that your loyalty does not require reciprocity. That calculation was tested at some point. It held, and it has been repeating ever since. It is brutal, but it is human. The imbalance in that relationship is not an accident. It is the relationship working exactly as it was designed to work. Behavior 5 is the one that feels like the deepest kind of betrayal. You opened up. You were honest. It felt safe to be real with this person. And then, in an argument, in front of others, at the worst possible moment, it came back. The thing you told them in private, used at exactly the moment it would do the most damage. Nietzsche understood this pattern with brutal clarity. Your vulnerability was not received. It was filed, stored until the right moment arrived to make it useful. And the most dangerous part? The person who does this does not see themselves as doing something wrong. They feel completely justified. That self-belief is exactly what makes them so hard to see coming. And now, behavior 6. This is the final one, and the one that takes the longest to recognize. When you are struggling, they are present, warm, available, essential. When your life starts improving, they become distant, cold, complicated. Most people never realize this. Nietzsche said certain people are only comfortable next to you when you need them, because your need is the source of their power. Your recovery does not make them happy for you. It makes them unnecessary. And being unnecessary is something they simply cannot tolerate. The person who showed up in your worst moments and disappeared in your best ones was never actually there for you. They were there for what it felt like to be needed by you. That changes everything. 4 things to do right now. 1. Trust your own memory. The person who confidently tells you that you remember it wrong is not correcting you. They are replacing your reality with theirs. Hold your version. 2. Watch how someone behaves when there is nothing to gain. That is the only version of them that is real. Everything else is a performance built for an audience. 3. Treat guilt as information. When you feel guilty for protecting yourself, stop and ask who put that guilt there and what it is designed to make you undo. 4. Measure the exchange in both directions. The relationship that only flows one way is not a relationship. It is an arrangement, and you are the one funding it. Here is the final truth. Manipulative people are not always obvious. They are often the ones who seem the most caring, the most understanding, the most present, until you stopped being useful. The strong mind does not become paranoid after learning this. It becomes precise. Drop the word "seen" in the comments if this video put a specific person in your mind. I read every single comment, and if someone in your life is still confused about a relationship that never quite felt right, send them this video. Not as an accusation, as a tool. Subscribe now if you want to keep seeing human nature for what it actually is. Because the people who understand these behaviors are not the most suspicious people in the room. They are simply the ones who are never blindsided.